You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to the Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and... she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
There's a place
out where the fake news is muffled,
past the point where politicians get silent,
where facts don't care about your feelings, where PC is DOA. This is that place. Welcome to the last stop on the right.
You know, all the podcasts that are out there, and you chose this one. Well done. Well done. Good choice. Prepare yourselves, you last stoppers out there. The last pod on the right is here. We're coming at you with a truckload of podcast fabulosity today.
Truckload?
A truckload of it. Yeah. 1.3 truckloads to be precise.
1.3.
Yeah, I'm just throwing numbers out at this point. I want to remind you, and we know we've got a lot of stuff that we're going to have to get through today, some of which we will not make it to. I'll just let you know now.
Well, it's always.
Some of the topics at the bottom of the list are probably going to get green roomed. It'd be like Matt Damon on Jimmy Kimmel. You're just, we're really sorry we ran out of time this week. But because obviously we're going to have a lot of Mueller stuff, a lot of impeachment stuff. Bob Mueller. Now that's in my head.
I have ruined you.
Bob Mueller is the bad guy of the whole Trump collusion Russia saga.
Course.
Bob Mueller, and more than and I have a piece about it. If any of you feel like reading anything we have to say, and I'm sort of doubting that, but if you go to laststopontheright.com, you can read my latest piece. There's all kinds of cool stuff on there, actually, including ways to contact us. But I have a piece on there, I don't know, 500-600 words, just an op-ed on how Bob Mueller is the real bad guy. Right. So I want a little background on it, because obviously I'm not going to sit here and read it to you,
right?
Because that would be a crushing bore, and we have other stuff that we want to crushingly bore you with today.
I'll say we're quite capable of that.
But I want to remind everybody they can contact us. And always check out the site, laststopontheright.com, and it's there's buttons. I learned to code some stuff.
Nice.
So you click on the button and it takes you to my Twitter feed, which is @BennettTruth, and that's 2 E's, 2 N's, 3 T's.
And they're not all in a row.
Or you can click on another button that will set it up so that you can email us here at The Last Stop. Cool. And I think there's another button on there somewhere that will take you to our Facebook group.
Nice.
And then, for example, if you'd heard this and then seen that group and still wanted to talk to one of us, you can easily find us on Facebook that way.
Right.
Although I'm not great about Facebook. You're a Facebook guy.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I mean, you're the guy. Michael will, if you want to see an active Facebook profile, a dude that gives you a real look at his life, go find Mikey on Facebook because you're going to know what he ate.
Come on,
you're going to know when he ate it,
dude. No, only if what I cook is epic.
No, dude. You're like toast is good, coffee on the porch. You're that guy, and that's your thing, man. If you want to see pictures of my dogs, you can go to my Facebook page. That's about what I'm good for. Pictures of my dogs and links to the site, pretty much.
Yep.
But you can do all of that.
And your one meme the other day.
And my one meme. I'm never doing that again. Because I posted one bloody meme. It's, oh, you're totally a meme guy. Knew it. Ha ha. I'm like, no. Well, that's the last time I'm making that mistake. For those of you joining us through the KLRN Radio Podcast Network, we are super glad to have you here. The kids, Rick and the whole gang over at KLRN doing good work. And letting us hitch a ride. Much like remora on the underside of a shark. That's we're the remora. In that equation, we are not the shark. So we are glad to have them.
Yes, we are.
And you can now get us on iTunes. Look for The Last Pod on the right on iTunes. And
that's where I listen.
Okay, so that's why we have like somebody rated us like positive rating, a single positive rating or two.
No, it wasn't me. I'm not going to rate ourselves.
That would be like wearing the concert T-shirt, T-shirt to the band of the concert.
Exactly.
That would be that. If if you give your own podcast 5 stars on iTunes, I would equate that with like buying the T-shirt at the merch tent and then wearing it to the concert.
It's like
yeah, go Rolling Stones.
Well, it's like posting something on Facebook and then immediately liking it.
Oh,
because you don't like your own stuff.
Yeah, that's not cool.
That's dumb.
You people, however, should definitely like our stuff on iTunes and Spotify. We're now on Spotify.
Oh, that's cool.
That's thanks to Rick and the gang over at KLR.
Awesome.
And they're like, all right, it may cost us in the future, but we're going to put The Last Pod on the right on Spotify. So it's on there now.
I didn't know that. Do you tell me this stuff and I just don't listen to you?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much.
I figured.
Let me work on the mic here.
Oh, hey, by the way,
what?
When I was setting up,
yes,
I noticed somebody broke your mic.
What?
Yes, it's broken.
What? God,
it is.
How the hell, dude?
Try turning it off.
No, I know it's. Shut up, man. I'm
hey,
aware. Okay, I broke the microphone. It was me. I don't remember doing it. I don't know how I did it, but yes,
I will give you credit.
The high quality podcasting equipment that we've had for like 8 weeks, and I've already broken something.
I will give you credit though.
Oh, really?
You broke it in the on position. You could have broke it in the off position.
I'm telling you right now that you've made a thing about it, like, Ben broke the microphone. When I replace it, I am going to replace it with like a really fabulous Sennheiser and be like, ha. And you'll be over there with your little AT all there in like the microphone ghetto. You'll be like, that's like a microphone subdivision. I'll be over here with like a microphone mega mansion. Awesome.
Right until you break it.
Shut up.
Right until the tornado hits your mansion.
Shut up. Mistakes were made. Okay.
All right.
I'll put that out there. Mistakes were made. Before we do anything else, because I know we have to get to the whole Bob Mueller and all of the rest of the stuff, but I figured now is as good a time to any remind. Kids, run over to the fridge and grab yourself a bottle or can of your favorite suds, because it is pod beer time here at the Last Pod on the Right.
I brought mine with me.
Yeah, well, all right. So let's do some pod beer in here. In 3, 2, 1. Pod beer. Oh, man, there's just nothing. Oh. There are moments.
Whoops.
Dude, look at you. You're a mess, man.
Man.
You're like hammered in the middle of the day.
No, I'm not. I'm not hammered.
Dude, homeboy is over there drooling.
I am not. It spilt down my chin, man.
Right. Yeah,
it's a problem.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, dude. It's still light out, and you're. I'm just putting that out there, I'm not judging.
All right, let's go.
I'm not judging you.
Are you wanting me to
judging
start
you. Why
now?
don't you go ahead and
Yes?
let's take a look at the menu of madness today. Can you read it?
I can.
You're not cross-eyed yet?
I can't. Man, I'm going to do good at this.
Well, dream big, man. All right,
third
Mikey, what is
grade.
our menu of madness this week?
This week's edition of the Last Pod on the Right, where we keep you from getting used by the news. It's Mueller time.
Well, we keep you getting used by the news.
Oh, you really want? Yeah, I can do that.
I know, it's okay.
It's Mueller time. The special counsel says, last call.
Well, we're going to... like I said, he's the real bad guy here. But we'll talk more about it.
Hey, impeach now or impeach never. You think the Dems have talked themselves into a trap?
We're going to have, obviously.
We'll find out.
Well, they seem to be trying to wriggle out. But
right.
We're going to obviously, we're going to give that the last pod treatment.
There you go.
Yeah.
Over on the campaign trail, did Pocahontas just get scalped?
Oh, dude, did you see the video?
Oh, man.
Oh, double MG.
Taxing our patient. Or not our patient. See, taxing our patients. Shut up.
Dude, I
Don't
couldn't
shut
use,
up.
it would have been harder to use smaller words for that.
Taxing our patients. Will Trump's trade wars make Americans collateral damage?
You said collateral.
I did, and I knew it said patients, and I don't know why. Anyway.
Yeah, I know. Well, I know why.
Shut up.
You're holding 12 ounces of wine.
No, I'm not. It's only about 4.
Started out 12.
Voter education. Is the Electoral College a degree worth pursuing?
Well, it depends on Nevada has a theory about that.
I know, a bunch do. Blue State Living, California Stan, America's own third world.
California Stan.
Yep. And time permitting, we got some bullet points for you. Global warming, Chiquita Khrushchev, Hillary Clinton, cybersecurity super sleuth, and bad tough Biden is back.
Bad touch by Jesus. Good Lord.
No,
man.
I said bad tough.
Bad touch. I'm literally looking, kids, I'm looking at his script. And
all right, hold on now. We're about to...
Bad tough Biden. I mistyped that.
Thank you.
Hey, look at that. I got one wrong. I feel like there should be a bank.
Bad touch Biden is back.
I feel like we should have a jar.
And keep those.
You get a jar and I get a jar, and whoever every time you screw up, you got to throw like I was going to say
$1.
You got to throw a Kruger end in the jar. And we'll see at the end of the season. Yeah. I like my odds. All right, I mentioned this earlier. I do want to urge you. I mean, I'm not penning some of the great oratorical work or anything, or political examinations of all time. But I think that there are a lot of things about the way Mueller, especially with that statement on Wednesday morning, wrapped it all up that were kind of dirty dog. I mean, here's a guy, and he comes out, and this has been the biggest political hot potato in at least 20 years. At least since Bubba Clinton went up, for impeachment. I wasn't going to say anything. I wasn't going to go there, and don't you go there.
Okay, I'm not.
So this is, and his statement on Wednesday morning is, he comes out and he makes sort of this hem and haw double talk thing where he's like, well, I'm not going to say that the president didn't maybe not necessarily commit a crime, but we couldn't consider that because we were constitutionally precluded from doing that with the 1979 regulations from doing that. And so it's hard for me to say necessarily, so I can't give you a definitive yes or no either direction. And I'm like, man, what is it that you're trying to say? And it occurred to me after he goes through all of that and leaves all those threads dangling where he didn't exonerate the president. He basically said the president, the exact quote was something like, I can't dismiss the possibility that the president committed a crime, but it wasn't my focus or whatever. That's the gist of it. That's not the direct quote. And he put Trump in the position of having to essentially prove a negative. It's like, I can't say that Trump didn't do something wrong. Well, I can't say that Mikey hasn't done something illegal in the last 7 days. I mean, I can't, it doesn't mean that. So what Mueller is doing is putting that out there, and it gives the libs a chance to go out and say, well, Mueller didn't say he wasn't guilty, so he must be.
Right.
We got him. And they've been since that.
No.
Yeah, that's not how that works. It's like, I can't say that guy over there isn't a serial killer. Well, that doesn't mean he is one.
Right.
I can't say Trump didn't commit any crimes.
Okay.
Well, it doesn't necessarily follow that therefore Trump is a criminal.
Right.
So, and I'll say this, there is no way that Mueller has it. I mean, this is a dude who's been right in the heart of the political orbit for 40 years. Homeboy knows how the games are played.
Right.
This is not some neophyte. This is not some doe-eyed rookie who just showed up from law school and is going to set America straight. This isn't some crusader tilting at windmills. This is Bob Mueller. This guy has been a heavyweight player since the 70s.
Right.
I have a hard time believing it's possible that Mueller just wanted to put a bow on it without making a definitive statement to get out of there. But I have a hard time believing that he didn't know the statement that he made wasn't going to set everybody. I mean, forget America didn't go bananas. They went the whole jungle.
Right.
There's no way. I don't buy Mueller going in there and saying open-ended, double talky, vague, subtle inside reference, bibbity-bobbity-boo. I'm not taking any questions ever again. I'm out by and think that that's going to stand and not touch off a whole new round
right.
of just ridiculous part of the Democrats have been out there. It's clear that Mueller wants us to impeach. It's clear that Trump committed a crime. It's clear that Mueller, blah, 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 blah. He didn't say any of that.
Right.
So he actually screwed everybody, if you'll think about it.
Absolutely.
Because he puts the Democrats in a position of having to interpret his words as meaning Trump is a criminal and should be impeached. So that they're going to infer that. While the Republicans are out there saying if he'd wanted to say that, he could have. He didn't.
Right.
And but neither team can close the door all the way. So I'm not entirely certain this isn't Mueller just going, you know what, screw all of you.
Well, I was just sitting here thinking that. I was
just
like,
a big old middle finger to everybody as he walks out the door.
Like, somebody was like, man, this whole thing is crap, isn't it? And he's like, yeah, hold my beer.
But he has put himself in one, or he has helped, and it's worse. I'll say this, it's worse for the Democrats.
Oh, yeah.
Because no matter how you slice it, Trump has the advantage of being the president.
Right.
So going into 2020, he can, no matter how you want to parse Mueller's words. And again, I would remind you, it is because Mueller chose those words that they are open to so much parsing. Because he could have come out and said, Trump is a bad guy, but I don't, he's not a criminal. Or Trump is a criminal. Or just Trump didn't collude with Russia. That's what you wanted me to find out. That's what I'm telling you.
Right,
bye.
right.
But he didn't say any of that. He said all of it and none of it.
Right.
Forcing everybody to.
I can't prove it,
Mm-hmm.
but.
I've heard stories. I saw evidence. He didn't even say that, though.
No.
So we had all this evidence, but then there was all these regulations. And he knew that he was going to do that.
Right.
I don't believe that Bob Mueller, unless he's like having episodes, like he's like Hillary Clinton. Like he was actually out there thinking he was addressing the Shriners Club in Toledo or something. Bob Mueller, and but that's the same kind of, that is by the way, from a logical standpoint, that is just as honest as anybody who is telling you what they know Trump or Mueller really meant. I could say it's possible that Bob Mueller was having an episode and thought he was giving a speech to the Shriners Club in Toledo. Well, prove me wrong.
Right.
You can't, essentially. So, it's, he did that. And he left his words open to parsing. I think he did it on purpose because there's no way a guy that connected, that smart, that in tune, that aware doesn't know what's going to happen if he releases the statement that he releases.
Right.
And you'll notice, by the way, he hedged every bet. It's like, regulations made it difficult for me. But, and I didn't really I had concerns about what Barr was going to release, what Attorney General William Barr was going to release with the report, but I know he acted in best faith. I was like, dude, that was the biggest Mark Antony, Julius Caesar moment right there. It's like, but Caesar was an honorable man. I'm like, okay, really? Yeah, I mean, we know Brutus says he was ambitious, and Brutus, not Caesar, Brutus is an honorable man. I'm like, we knew what Mueller was doing there.
Right.
That was a jab at Barr.
Right.
The speech itself was a jab at ostensibly at Trump, but then when you look at it, when you watch the whole thing, and I would encourage you to try this. I know it's 8 minutes long. He's about 8 minutes is how long he was up there. And I know it's difficult to be like, I'm going to set aside time in my day because some dude on the last pod on the right said, go watch Mueller's statement again. But if you have a chance and you're interested in, I mean, hey, check my work. I'm fine with that. If you're thinking, I'm not sure I buy Ben's take on this, then go check it.
Right.
Watch all 8 minutes without making, every time he makes a statement, don't think about what he's trying to say. Just take him at face value. Just listen to the statements that he made without trying to infer your own idea of what he's trying to say. Just take it at face value. And I think you'll figure out that I'm right. That there's no way a guy that statement could not have ended in anything other than everybody trying to recast the words, to parse the words to their own benefit, and being able to because they were so vague.
Right.
And I don't buy. There's no way. There's not.
No.
There's no way Mueller goes in there not knowing that's what's going to happen. And we knew that the statement was coming. So it's not like he just was off the cuff there.
Right.
And you watched him reading it.
Oh, yeah.
And then he said, nope, no questions. And it's tougher for the Democrats in another way, too. Because if they were really going to impeach, they now have to.
Right.
Or they're done.
Yep.
I mean, I don't see, there's no other way around it. They are now out there saying, well, at least the loud ones are out there saying, well, because Mueller said, then that means, so we must. Because Mueller said Trump's a criminal. Mueller never said that. Mueller said he couldn't do anything to indict the president, so we should impeach. He didn't say that either. He did. I never heard the word. I don't think he used the word impeach at all.
No.
So they're just inferring what they. But because they're doing that, because we've got to impeach because of Mueller. We got to impeach. We have to impeach. And Pelosi and some of the other leadership guys are out there trying to back away from it, but it's too late.
Right.
They've painted themselves into a real hell of a corner here. Because they're out there and they're saying, and I think to Pelosi's credit, she sees the trap of impeachment.
Oh, it'll kill him in the election.
Yeah, I mean it's a potential disaster,
right?
Because you're coming out of that, you lost in 2016. If you're Pelosi, and I'll give her enough credit to say, I mean I know most of the people listening to the last pod on the right, are probably thinking, no, she's an idiot, and that's the pod. She's not.
No.
I mean, I'll agree with you on most things about Pelosi. She's goofy. She makes ridiculous statements, and I'm not sure all her dogs are barking. But when they all get in tune, we can agree. This is a woman who is approaching 80 years old and has now been Speaker of the House twice.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not talking about some babe in the woods.
No.
This isn't AOC out there, Chiquita Khrushchev just yammering socialist babble. And thinking, well, and I'm getting away with it because, if anybody criticizes me, then I can just say they're racist or sexist and get away with it. I mean, Pelosi knows this game like Mueller. If anybody knows the game, it's Pelosi.
Right.
And has won at the game. Pelosi has gone as far as she was ever going to potentially go. Mm-hmm. You're talk about maximizing your potential. Give her credit for that.
Right.
And she, I know, is looking at this and saying, we have neither the intellectual, and she would never admit this. Obviously, we have neither, if you're a Democrat, you have neither the intellectual, moral, or financial capital to carry on an impeachment fight and the 2020 campaign at the same time.
Right.
They just don't have what it takes.
Nope.
And I'm not trying to be cruel or be, just make partisan, all Democrats are stupid. One of those little throwaways that you think is a conversation stopper. I'm saying to you, I don't think if you're a Democrat, you should be paying closer attention to what Pelosi is trying to tell you. Because as disastrous as she has been as a leader of that party, and they've taken some real hits.
Right.
I mean, yeah, they had the 2 years where they had everything under their wing,
right?
And they were all super duper about it. But they have taken some real. Obama cost them a lot. Hillary Clinton's campaign was a disaster.
Yep.
I mean, it was an absolute dumpster fire. Pelosi has withstood all of this. Obama tearing the country apart. Hillary Clinton just absolutely face planting in 2016. Whatever you want to say about it, Pelosi has maintained her position through all of this.
Yep.
She is currently third in line to the presidency of the United States. This is not a dummy. And I think she's looking at it and going, holy crap, we have painted ourselves into one hell of a corner.
Yep.
And, not that they're going to lose people to the Republicans.
No,
I'm not saying that. I'm saying you saw what happened in 2016, though. When they came up, they had a lot going on. They burned an enormous amount of capital to keep Obama safe.
Right.
Then they get a dumpster fire of a candidate. And her top challenger is a lunatic communist from Vermont. And and the old girl Hillary almost lost to. We'll remember, they had to cheat to protect Hillary from Sanders. Now, you think if Pelosi is looking at the 2020 field and going, oh, man.
Yeah.
Why? Because can we possibly? Because you're not going to win impeachment no matter what you do.
Right.
I mean, even if you go for it, there's no way. I don't think you could get it out of the House.
You're probably right. And even if you do,
you're going to die.
You're not going to. Yeah, it's not going out of the Senate.
Cocaine Mitch ain't gonna play. He's up there right now. He's got like a mountain blow in front of him, going like, "Come on!" He is literally Tony Montana right now.
Bring that shit on.
Come say hello to my little friend. That's what McConnell's saying. So even if they somehow wrangled themselves together enough to get in there and impeach the president because Bob Mueller did or did not say or say not that Trump should or should not be impeached or not impeached.
Right.
Even if you pull it off, you get out of the House, you hit the wall in the Senate, and then what? Now it's 2020, and that has been the issue, and Trump beat you right before the 2020 election.
Yep.
Or worse, it carries on past the election because people are already tired of it. And I can tell you that's the case.
I mean, that's me. I keep saying to you, I was like, just do it. Then.
Yeah, and we said
just
this.
Do it.
We both said this last week, right here on the last pod on the right. And I know we're not the only ones saying it because I know there are other people on the KLRN radio network that are saying it. It's like shit or get off the pod.
Right. Do it.
Do it. Stop talking about it and do it. Because people are, and if you look at the polls, and it might have been YouGov, I'm not sure. I saw it on Real Clear, where they have like all the poll aggregators. Mm-hmm. And right now, you're looking at 65-35 saying, for God's sake.
Yeah, we're tired of it.
Go do something constructive.
We're tired of it.
And then even inside the Democrat Party, where impeachment, yay or nay, the yays have it by the curvature of the earth.
Right.
But they're saying, do it now. And they're getting frustrated with her. But that is, I mean, you remember what happened in 2016. You had Hillary Clinton, whom they did not believe was vulnerable, at least outwardly, while internally they were so terrified they were rigging their own debates again to protect her from Bernie Sanders.
Right.
And then when Bernie went down, all of a sudden you had Jill Stein picking up people. They're not going to, if they do this, because Bob Mueller did or did not. And again, Bob Mueller put America in, and I want to repeat this because he is the real villain here. And I want to go look at my piece at thelaststopontheright.com and read what I said about it. Because by doing it the way he did, with that 8 minutes of absolute vague, shady, double talky, no definitive answer references, followed by I'm never talking about this again. I mean, he's like, they can call me, but I'm not coming.
Right.
I mean, the way he phrased it was designed to ensure that the House knew, do not subpoena me.
Right.
Just don't. I'm done talking about it. By doing that, he gave nobody enough ammunition to win, but everybody enough ammunition to fight.
Yep.
And that's the bad guy, because at the very least, even if you are the most MAGA hat wearingest, dyed in the wool, red state Trump 2020 dude on earth, you don't have enough from Mueller either.
Nope.
And that's a lousy thing to do. I think that's a lousy thing to do to America. I mean, we gave you $30 million in 2.5 years, and it all came down to 8 minutes of him maybe or maybe not telling people what they did or didn't want to hear.
Right.
And then the Democrats, and why I said this, why it's worse for the Democrats and the Republicans, bottom line, Trump is the president. He is not running through a primary process. He is not going to have to deal with the hassles of the nomination. He is their target, but he's also their target for impeachment. He's their target for the Russia collusion nonsense, which they continue to talk about like it's a thing, even after all of this. He doesn't have to. He could play pure defense until like the last 2 months. Wait for the primaries to end. Figure out which one of these nags, these swayback mules. We talk about that in just a second here. One of them in particular gets out of the barn and then just stomp a mud hole in him because he'll be tanned, rested, and ready, and they'll have just come through a primary fight where they've already shown a propensity to cheat each other.
Yes, they have.
And so I'm saying it. I say go for it. I know you say go for it. Do it.
Let's get it over with.
Shit or get off the pot when it comes to impeachment. But note that the woman, Nancy Pelosi, the woman who has actually, I'm going to say this, she outplayed the game compared to Hillary.
Yeah.
I mean, Hillary Clinton actually only won the one Senate seat.
Yep. Everything else was appointed.
And when it came down to brass, well, she won their nomination, but she didn't have to fight very hard.
No.
And they let her coast in, and she got clobbered. Nancy Pelosi is, again, the Speaker of the House. So you guys might want to pay attention to what the old girl's trying to tell you. Because if you do this, if you try to impeach a guy, and all you have is Mueller mealy-mouthing it and saying, I'm not going to, you subpoena me, I'm not coming, basically. That's what I got. Everyone else is telling you what they got from it. What I got from it is, here's some bullshit about it, and I'm done.
Nope.
I mean... Screw everybody is what Mueller did. They go out now with this just field of, you want to talk about a dumpster fire. They're all, no matter how you slice it right now, it is still Biden's race to lose. And he's not really doing anything. I mean, he's not doing anything remarkable.
No.
Nobody has seen Joe Biden. We've had a couple of gaffes. There was another thing. He was getting handsy with another kid this week. Because, of course. And there was the thing last week, did you see, with he got up on stage and went to hug his wife, and she's like, get your hands off me. I was like, damn, dude. Somebody's sleeping on the couch tonight. But that's their guy. Barring a complete disaster or medical. I mean, keep in mind, Joe is not a young man.
No.
But he's perfectly affable. And I'm wondering if their thinking at this point is the shrieking, the shrill, ugly, everybody else is the devil, call everybody fascist, call everybody Nazis, the whole woke culture that has infected the Democrats and turned them so far to the left. And I'm wondering if maybe they think Biden may be the answer. Well, we've been yelling at everybody for 2.5 years nonstop.
Right.
Since Hillary lost, the Democrats' only platform has been like insane, far left, crazy pit plans like the Green New Deal. Right. And all of their talking has been done by idiots like Ocasio-Cortez and Omar. So they're out there and looking into next fall. And, obviously Mueller didn't give them what they wanted. They're hemming on impeachment. And the rest of the time it's crazy people saying insane things and occasionally hating Jews. So I'm wondering if maybe they think, well, Joe can save us because Joe is such a nice guy. And he is. I will be fair to Biden in that. He is a hard guy not to like personally.
You're right.
Well, when he's
like somebody's grandfather.
Yeah, I mean, he is. He's like a nice old grandpa. He's a little creepy.
And a little handsy.
He's a little handsy, but, I mean, I'm wondering if that's their thought. Is, well, we'll just go with Joe because everybody likes Joe, and it'll be enough. And I would remind you that the Republicans tried that in 1996. They almost pulled it off. The Democrats needed Ross Perot to spike the tree.
Right.
To keep Dole from beating Clinton. Because if Ross Perot had not been, or Buchanan, had not been in there, Dole would have won that election.
I'm Bob Dole.
But really, Bob Dole didn't inspire people. So you're going to go into 2020, Trump absolutely inspires his base.
Right.
And on the other side, who are you looking at for inspiration? I mean, you like Joe Biden. I mean, does Joe Biden fill you with patriotic and partisan furor?
He makes me want to go to the cafeteria at
Yeah,
4:30 in the afternoon.
He makes me want to get the early bird special.
Exactly.
He makes me want to win at bingo. He makes me want to play shuffleboard in Fort Lauderdale. It's so. And then you see the rest of their field, and we're getting to some notes here on the campaign trail. Elizabeth Warren. Now, I know because we're both old radio guys. You know, when a radio show has done particularly well and hung on for a while, it gets attention, especially we read the trades and stuff like that. And they've got the Breakfast Club at, Power 105 in New York.
Mm-hmm.
Charlemagne the God and that whole gang. And they've been on for a while, and they've been enormously successful. And they are the... you look at they're sort of like the Rush Limbaugh of urban morning shows.
Right.
I mean, if you say to somebody in the business, name an urban station morning show that's nationally syndicated, they're going to give you the Breakfast Club.
Right.
It's going to be the first one you think about. All the Democrats stopped there. You remember that's where isn't that where Hillary Clinton had her hot sauce moment?
It might be.
Anyway, Elizabeth Warren was in their studio. I believe it was this morning. Might have been Thursday morning, and. Charlemagne the God, he's the primary.
Right.
A lot of these shows you have three people or more, and in some cases it's like Howard Stern where there's the one guy. But in their case, actually, they've got three. They move it around pretty well.
Right.
But Charlemagne, I would say, is the main guy, and he pinned her to the ground on the whole Native American thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was hard to watch, and she had no idea how to get out of it. And I'm sitting there, I'm watching this, and I'm realizing what's happening here. Because she's not a threat to win. Okay, we put that out there right away. You got Biden at 30, Sanders at 20-something, and then, I think Kamala Harris is around the 15.
Right.
And then it goes down from there. I mean, Elizabeth Warren is not going to be the Democrat nominee for president unless some serious medical issues pop up ahead of her. And Willie Brown decides to take Kamala Harris back. I mean, that's the only way Warren's going to... A whole bunch of weird stuff has to happen.
Right.
She's like the Jets in any given year. You get to that final week, and the only way they're getting to playoffs is a whole bunch of bad crap happens to a whole bunch of other teams.
Right.
But she's on this show, and he's like, hey, I want to ask you about this. And she said, well, that's what my family told me. He's like, well, yeah, but you learned it was incorrect. Well, yeah, I'm not a member. And she starts doing all this. I'm not a member of the tribe, and that means something, but you have to understand, and bibbity-bobbity-boo. And she's trying to talk her way out of it. And he would not let her go.
Right.
And and he finally called. He's like, so you're like Rachel Dolezal then. And Warren didn't get it. Elizabeth Warren, one of the things you'll notice about her, this whole new woke thing that she does, like when she did the Vine or the Periscope from her kitchen.
Yes.
When she's like, or she's going to crack a beer, or she's talking Game of Thrones, or like the feminist implications of Game of Thrones with AOC. It's painful to watch because it's such a hello, fellow youths. I, too, am one of you young hip-hopping rock and rollers. I mean,
y'all are really groovy.
Yeah, this is super neato, and don't be a square. It's awkward because it's so obvious how completely out of her position she is.
Right.
So she's on Charlemagne the God and has got her on the Breakfast Club. And he is just killing her with this. And he makes the Dolezal comment, and she blanked for a second. You could tell she didn't know what the hell he was talking about. And that's when I realized, and this is, I'm not sure if you've heard this somewhere else. It's possible. I haven't heard anyone else say this. You're going to hear it right now. Last pod on the right. Going to make some podcast history. Black people do not like Elizabeth Warren. And I'm not saying that Charlemagne the God speaks for all black people because that's ridiculous. That's no more ridiculous. That is as ridiculous as suggesting that Rush Limbaugh speaks for all white people. He doesn't, obviously.
Right.
I know Charlemagne the God does not speak for all black people. Power 105, however, is a huge stick. That's a big-time station.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is a big program. And he went into that with the intent of getting her to answer that question, and she couldn't. And when he stuck her with that, because that Rachel Dolezal thing, and for those of you who don't remember who that is, I think most of you would. She was the NAACP activist out in like the Pacific Northwest, who had spent years living as a black woman. She tried to identify. She said, I tried to get away with. I identify as a black. It turned out she's not. She's a white girl.
Right.
And it became a whole thing, and she'd resigned in disgrace and all this other. Her life has not been good since then. I'm not celebrating that at all. I don't care enough about her one way or another, which ill on her. I don't, I want her to starve or whatever. But, I mean, she got drummed out of the community. And for someone like Charlemagne the God, somebody on The Breakfast Club, a show like that with the reach that it has and the fandom that it has. And keep in mind, with a lot of these shows, what goes on these shows reverberates farther than just their audience. And that's not unusual. No. I mean, anything that is a cultural force, if it happens involving, important voice X, person Z may not have heard X say it, but they're going to hear about it.
Right.
And when, for him to say that is him saying, Now, I don't know. I can't attest to what kind of political influence he has. I'm not going to suggest that he has an enormous amount. He is. I mean, they're a zoo-type morning show. They're the fun hijinks. They're not trying to get you to think too much.
No.
They're trying to have you. I'm not playing them down. It's not stupid.
No.
It's not juvenile. They are radio for you to go to work with in the morning.
Right.
You want to enjoy yourself.
Right.
They're more likely to want to make you laugh than make you angry. But I could tell watching it, he wanted to get her with that. Mm-hmm. Because if he said anything else, it wouldn't have been that big a deal. But for him to identify her with Rachel Dolezal, a white woman that tried to get away with that, and I was like, wow, man, that was a big moment. And then you consider that behind her, there's like 20 more people. As you go, Biden, Sanders, and then generally it's Harris. And then, they're like Buttigieg is moving up and down or whatever. And there's Warren is up higher than many. I mean, she's still single digits.
Right.
But what that tells me is she's maxed out. Because if he's saying things like that, that's going to get around. Elizabeth Warren is not going to do well with black voters.
Right.
And let's be honest, man. He's not wrong.
No.
I mean, she did try to use a claim of Native American ancestry to advance herself. Okay. How long she did it, in what circumstances, which applications she put it on, and which ones she didn't put it on, and when did she claim it, and when she is immaterial. She's a privileged white girl who tried to, on more than one occasion, identify herself as a member of a protected race, of a minority race, in order to advance herself. Mm-hmm. Now, that is, if you are anybody other than a far-left liberal, we don't even have this conversation because they've doused you in gasoline and thrown you off the bridge by now.
Right.
So she's only still viable because she's such a wingnut lefty, and they won't turn on their own unless the situation gets serious.
Right.
Which is, I mean, she's an old lady. She's AOC as an old lady. She babbles a lot, but she says all the right far left stuff, so they love her for it. And, it's like, we're going to give you this for free. We're going to give you this for free. She was on, I think, The View this week. Warren was promising the usual free. If we're going to take 2% of the richest guy's money and give it to you, and you have all this free stuff. It's the usual class envy garbage. And AOC does it now as an attractive 20-something. Warren does it as an unattractive 60-something.
Right.
It's the only reason she's still viable is because it's the same rhetoric. But I can tell you right now, and I said this on the show before as well, if AOC was eligible to run, she could run right now, and she would get their nomination.
Yep.
If she was 35 years old and she ran for president as a Democrat, she would get their nomination. Warren, same rhetoric, but she has that ding. I think she's cooked.
Yep.
And you consider the fact that behind her you've got whom? I mean, a lot of people, but
Beto.
Yeah, you got that Beto. Jesus God, dude, he's down. It's so sad now. But then there's dudes. I mean, they're down at the bottom fighting for second to last place, like Eric Swalwell, Nuke Boy.
You're right.
He is. He's still pretending to run. And as I said last week, this guy's not going to. He and Beto, I don't think, make it to Iowa. But he is at zero. I mean, you are literally, You're literally the John Blutarski of the Democrats' Animal House. You really
Zero
are.
point zero.
You know, and I know I'm not sure.
Fat, drunk, and stupid's no way to go through an election.
I'm not certain that I'm not certain Swalwell is drunk. He's not fat.
No.
I'm not sure if he's drunk. He's definitely stupid. So I'm going to give him 2 out of 3 just based on that. These guys are in real trouble. And they're like, oh, we're gonna consider what? You're going to impeach the president with this rogues gallery?
Yeah, no doubt.
Really? These guys, and let us also point out that, as I mentioned earlier in the program, Mueller couldn't get him.
Right. Nope.
You think Adam Schiff is good? I mean, seriously. Yeah. Well, like, MI6 from the James Bond movies couldn't bring down Donald Trump, but I'm sure the guys from, I don't know, Larry, Moe, and Curly and the Keystone Cops, they're going to be the one, If you're waiting for those flat-foots, you're going to be waiting for a minute. So that's not going to happen. Was that a? Did you just do a Three Stooges sight gag?
I did.
Yeah, Mike's over here doing sight gags on the radio,
and it was perfect. It looked great.
Yeah,
anyway,
I saw it. It was,
and
I had the defense up. So, all right, I want to switch gears away from because this is all right. I have this one story that I wanted to do. And for those of you who are along with us here on the last pod on the right, whether you are on with us through the KLRN Radio Podcast Network, we love you for that.
I'm still pod bearing.
Or iTunes or Spotify. Hey, I'm
there too.
Let me do a little pod beer.
You do that pod beer.
Stuff comes up that you're looking there going, man, are we going to have time for this? But I wanted to do this because, and I wanted to do it last week. We didn't get to it. But I wanted to do this week because Gavin Newsom, and we're going to get to the local stuff in a minute here. Because we do have some Savannah stuff we want. We have some Savannah scene stuff we want to do for our local friends and neighbors, which actually has national implications.
Yep.
Because Hollywood is apparently drawing a bullseye on Georgia.
Yeah.
And so that's going to become a bigger thing. We're going to get to that in a minute. But I wanted to do this story before I got away from me for 2 weeks in a row. Gavin Newsom, governor of California. Mm-hmm. Okay. They have a problem in California right now.
Wait, what?
They have, I know it's like, which one? They have some issues in California right now. Well, they just lost a bunch of their transportation money.
Oh, yes, they did.
Well, they didn't spend it, and they were jerks. And Trump's like, well, you didn't spend it. You already canceled the project. It was a couple of billion for high-speed rail.
Mm-hmm.
And they ended up not doing it because it was going to be a financial black hole. So Trump's like, well, that's federal money. I'm taking it back. They're like, well, you can't do that.
Sure.
Like, the hell I can't. Watch me.
You didn't spend it on what you were supposed to
You admit that you've already given up on that. So, yeah, I'm taking the money back. So that, however, that's out the state budget. But they have a homeless problem. I don't know if you knew this, but the People's Republic of California, where everybody should and is, the right politicians are voted for so that everybody that should be supported by the government, that needs the government to be there for them, everything you might possibly run across wanting, needing in your life, it should be the government that gives it to you. And California has set up a long history of ensuring through elections, at least everybody about west of the San Joaquin Valley. So you go east toward when you get to the inland of California, actually most of the people are still pretty human there.
Right.
To the coast, and everybody's a lunatic. They have, however, set up California as if California was its own country, it would probably be in the Warsaw Pact.
Yes.
They don't even have that anymore. That's how far left they are.
Right.
All right, it would be a concern that you'd have a hostile country on our borders. They have a homeless problem, however, which seems sort of counterintuitive given all the time they spend talking about how much better they are than the rest of us at taking care of everyone. And Gavin Newsom, their governor, came out and he's like, hey, he called it a national disgrace that California has, and this is not a small homeless problem. All right, I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures, but there are, San Francisco now, some dudes started this as a gag, but it's become a thing. There is a poo map of San Francisco. You were like, these are the places that you are most likely to encounter human feces and or use needles, and it's fair. They, as I understand it, they even update the damn thing.
What What the hell would somebody want that for?
And you've got, well, because in San Francisco, there are so many homeless people pooping on the sidewalk that it's become a thing. That you can actually have a poo map.
And so I guess you could look at it and see where you don't want to go.
Yeah, but well, I'm not going over there today because it's, it's the brown alert is out.
I thought that
brown alert.
At first, I was like, "Oh, here's where all the poop is. Everybody go look at it." And it's like, wait, what?
Why
I'm going to pass on that.
No, I don't want to go. No, they're not handing it out like maps to the homes of the stars. It's not like you go to
here's the map of the homeless turds.
Like if you go over to Haight-Ashbury right now, there is a pile on the corner that the dude definitely eats a lot of red meat. Go check it out with our poo map.
He had corn.
No, it's the opposite.
Oh, God.
It is supposed to let you know. And Mikey's over there like, really? You can go to San Francisco and they have a thing, so you can go like do a poo tour.
Well, I mean,
no, I meant like it's the opposite.
Out there. I mean, who the hell knows?
To warn, in any other place, I'd be like, that's insane. But in California,
it might work.
Do you want a map to the homes of the stars or a map to the poops of the stars? Well, in LA, they have homeless camps that are taking over whole neighborhoods.
Right.
San Francisco, the same thing. You've got people who now you cannot not walk down the sidewalk anymore. Not because it's unsafe, although it is, but because the homeless people, just take it over because they have all the laws keeping you from doing anything to hurt any homeless people's feelings or inconvenience them in any way.
Right.
You can't go there. And Nuke Boy is from California. He is not the governor of California. As Gavin Newsom says, it's a national disgrace. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, man. This is exactly what happens when you vote for too many Democrats over too long a period of time. Mm-hmm. This is what you get. These guys are out here, they're worrying about, same thing in New York. They worry about, how big is the soda that you can buy at the McDonald's?
It's, who cares?
How.
Don't buy we're not going to let you sell hot dogs on the street.
Yeah, we're not going to, how many carbs are in your meal? How many grams of sugar are in your drink, et cetera, and so on and so forth. Those are the things they're going to come down on you on. You can't smoke a cigarette on the sidewalk, but you can take a dump and shoot up there. And that's what happens when you vote for Democrats, kids.
And map it.
It's not, and not only that, but you can do it. You can do it to enough that someone can actually. I mean, I'm surprised there's not a poop app. There probably is. It probably is available.
Wait, can I look and see? Real quick, please?
I'm sort of tempted to look, but I kind of don't want to know.
Yeah, I don't either.
But if you can have a map to the stars, and you can have a poo map and a needle map, and be like, well, we're going to make sure that you don't drink too many sodas. We're not going to make sure that you don't have too much sugar in your diet. We're not going to let you eat processed meats. No more nitrates. And, it's like, well, you got to go to the grocery store to buy all the crap that you need now to eat the approved diet.
Right.
But it's like you could get space hepatitis on the way there because all the poop and needles everywhere. It's like, well, the good news is tonight's dinner is protein and vitamin C and A. And hepatitis because I got that on the way to the store.
Whatever's on the bottom of my shoe.
Yeah, like scrape it off and put it in a pan. Might as well cut out the middleman. But the air can practically give you like space AIDS.
Right.
I mean, hell, California, the brown alert is a daily thing. They should have a brown alert. I am proposing here. Somebody go out there and say from now on, when there is so much feces and used needles on the streets of San Francisco that it's no longer safe to even go outside, then the city can have a brown alert.
Too bad Jerry Brown's not.
It should be a
not
brown
their
alert.
Governor
He
anymore.
is. Oh yeah, it would have been better if it had happened 5 years ago.
Yep.
Moonbeam Brown, be like, yeah, it's a brown alert today. That's what happens. There is a lesson in there. And I wanted to get to it because we had not yet gotten to it.
The brown alert.
And I was just like, a brown alert for California, man. He's out there, he's like, oh, Gavin Newsom, governor of California. He said, oh, it's a national disgrace. No, it's not a national disgrace.
It's a California disgrace.
It's a
Sorry.
California. It's a Democrat disgrace.
Right.
It's Detroit. It's East St. Louis. It's Gary, Indiana. It's the south side of Chicago. It's the south side of Atlanta. It's every single time liberals get in control of things, this is what happens.
Right.
It tends not to involve as much poo as it has this time.
As far as we know.
I've been to Detroit. I've been to Chicago, and I've been on the south side of Atlanta. I've been in some pretty weird places in this country and out of this country. And even, I lived for a while in South Africa, back when apartheid was still a thing, and it was really, really bad there. And they didn't poop on this. Like, you didn't poop in front of your house.
You at least went in the hole
yeah,
over by the tree.
I mean, things were not good for the black residents of South Africa in 1989 when I lived there. Things were not good. That was a global disgrace.
Right.
But they didn't poop in front of their own houses. It wasn't like, this sucks, so I'm going to take a dump. I mean, it wasn't your natural response. You vote for Democrats long enough, and this is what you get, San Francisco. You get a poo app. Like, this is what you guys are considering voting for next fall, by the way.
Yeah.
Is one of the people that the Democrats come up with, if they don't go with Biden, who has been unclear in his stance on public feces. But, well, I mean, the rest of these guys are that kind of far left. All of the rest of them are. Kamala Harris helped create the Californistan we see today.
Right. What's their governor? Gavin
Newsom.
Oh,
He's a very handsome man.
I thought you
and
said
that appears to be his lone qualification.
I thought you said Gavin Poosum.
No. Really, dude?
Sorry.
Really?
I had to bust out the dad joke.
You stopped the show for a dad joke. I'm looking at you like, really? Because you're that guy now. That's right, kids. You're listening to the Last Pod on the Right, where every now and then Mike will pull the handbrake to give you a good dad joke. I'm drinking pod. I'm having some pod beer because that's the kind of quality you expect from us here. The Last Pod on the Right. We want to get to the Savannah thing. I was going to do something about the Trump-McCain boat thing. And be like,
oh my God, that's just so stupid.
Trump did not. I don't think Trump knew. I will say this: I don't buy that either. Trump knew. I do think somebody asked somebody else to whether or not we should consider it. The Navy says they didn't move the boat.
Right. I mean, I'm sure,
but whatever.
Well, they move all the time.
Okay, yeah. Is it a fumble by just that somebody fumbled the ball? It's a bad look.
Right.
And Trump needs to stop talking about not liking John McCain.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to put that out there.
The dude's
whether you love Trump or hate him, love McCain or hate him, John McCain is in the ground, and John McCain is a legit war hero.
Yep.
Okay, whatever you thought of his politics, it's Trump's not doing himself any favors with this. This is kind of bullet pointing. It's like usually we'd throw something like this at the end, but I'm just going to say, because it has continued to be a thing, with Trump out there.
Right.
Be like, all right. Stop talking smack about John McCain. It doesn't do you any good.
Right.
That's the pointlessness of it is what gets me. Like, okay, somebody in your office, somebody somewhere in the White House liaison office screwed up. Said, hey, should we consider obscuring McCain's name while Trump's out there? That was dumb. Trump coming back with, I didn't know, and I believe he didn't know about it. But then say, well, it's no secret I didn't get along with him. Like, dude, don't qualify.
I mean, okay, say you didn't know, you're done. You're good. You don't have to say anything else.
Yeah, you're not helping. Stop helping.
I didn't know.
It's been the constant refrain, however, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That Trump's own worst enemy is himself. Because he owns the Democrats. Every time they go face-to-face on anything, he wins. Mm-hmm. Even with Mueller.
Oh, yeah.
Even with Mueller, you could say now that Mueller is done, and that's all he left them with. Trump won that one, too.
Yep.
But when the guy that dings him the most is Trump. It's like, I'm going to pick a fight with John McCain's ghost over something like that. Like, dude, I believe you that you didn't know that they were thought about obscuring McCain's name in the background of bibbity bobbity boo. Don't make it worse by talking about not liking the guy.
He's dead. Let him go.
Well, it just you're not and it puts
benefits nobody.
It benefits nobody, and we've said this before. Again, my parents who are absolutely listening to this, I'm going to say the old man will probably laugh at this. Mom, I'm going to say a bad word now. Trump's an asshole.
Oh, yeah.
It's not news.
No.
But, you say, well, we don't want you. Stop doing stuff like this because it makes you look bad. But, it'll be a week or two and he'll say something else stupid. Fine.
A week or two.
Or whatever.
Well,
I mean, no matter what, it's not like he's going to come out ahead of, Trump will make one stupid comment a week. I've noticed. It seems like that's about an average. Once a week, Trump says something that he makes the Republicans go, God damn it.
Right.
But, I mean, he's never going to touch AOC, so it doesn't matter.
Somebody slap that damn phone out of his hand.
Trump once a week tweets and or says something that makes you think, dude, why? But then you look at the rest of them and think, well, you've got...
You know why.
You got Chiquita... Well, because he's an asshole.
Exactly.
But then you got Chiquita Khrushchev.
Right.
Or Ilhan Omar. Or Rashida Tlaib. Or whomever. And they're, for them, you can mark off the time intervals between them saying something stupid in like nanoseconds. It's like picoseconds. I mean, basically, if AOC... It has gotten to the point now, if she is speaking publicly, it's probably stupid. She is really not... And she's driving their bus now. Ilhan Omar, who apparently can't complete a sentence. Ilhan Omar could not place an order at a fast food restaurant without saying something anti-Semitic. She literally go like McDonald's or whatever. I keep saying McDonald's. There are other fast food choices. I can just see her like going, yeah, I'll have a... I guess she's Muslim, so she can't eat a cheeseburger either, right? Whatever. I'm going to have a Big Mac meal and with a side of I hate Jews. I mean, that's Omar.
Can I have a McJew burger, please? Hold the cheese.
Yeah, let me have the quarter McJew. I hate Jews. I don't want a whole Jew because I hate you. That's Omar. And, with Trump, it's, he'll get one and they'll freak out about it. In the meantime, these other guys are out there saying just impossibly stupid things all the bloody time. I mean, she took a shot at Trump over his taxes this week. She's like, yeah, well,
I know.
We may not have gotten him on that, but, what about your taxes, buddy? And I'm like, oh, honey.
Yeah, we've been
the Internal Revenue Service has been around for quite a while. I can pretty much, I can tell you, just because you haven't seen his returns, and Trump does this because it drives her nuts. I'm not showing you my returns.
Right.
Because the liberals go crazy. You have to show us your returns. He's like,
no, I don't.
No, I don't. And because it makes you this crazy, I'm not gonna. She was out there this week. Well, just because Mueller didn't get him on collusion, we want to see the receipts. We want to see the taxes. We know you've been up to no good. And I actually dinged her on Twitter this week, and actually it went viral. And I'm not sorry.
Nice.
I was like, first of all, honey, the IRS. If Trump had cheated on his taxes in the 90s, and we know now that he paid millions in taxes,
right.
They would have had him.
He's a pretty big fish.
I promise you, if the IRS didn't get it, it's like we were talking about earlier. If Mueller couldn't get Trump, do we really think Adam Schiff is going to be the guy?
Yeah.
If the IRS didn't get Trump, do we really think Chiquita Khrushchev is going to be? She's the one that's going to bring him down.
Right.
I mean, fine, go ahead, be that. But by the way, and I asked her, I said, by the way, you did declare all your cash tips when you were the world's smartest bartender, right? I mean, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Since you're out there accusing Trump of something that you have no evidence to support, that he cheated on his taxes, when you were a bartender, which wasn't that long ago, and by the way, is within the 7-year window, so the Internal Revenue Service, if they wanted to, could go take a peeky peek.
Right.
You did declare all your cash tips as earnings, right? I mean, we want to talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Can we move on to the next subject?
That's what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, you see what happened was you're racist and or sexist for mentioning that. Yeah, because they're not going to have an answer. Be like, well, the IRS didn't get Trump, but I wonder if they might want to take a look at you.
Leave me alone, you Jews.
Yeah. If it's Omar, she would have been like, you're only asking, that's a Jew question.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a Jew question? And you know what Omar would? She'd think it's about money. So, yeah, Jew.
Well,
All right, we want to get away from the national stuff. I wanted to get all that stuff in there, though, because last week we left some stuff behind, and I felt bad about it. And, for example, and you mentioned in the intro, the whole thing with Hillary being the keynote speaker at the Cyber Defense Symposium. FireEye, the cybersecurity firm Fire. This is a true story. I've been doing a kicker before we get to the Savannah scene here. True story, the cybersecurity firm FireEye. Now, I'm not going to say one way or another whether this should influence your decision to hire FireEye to handle your cybersecurity, but at an upcoming cybersecurity symposium hosted by I'm not even making this up.
I know you're not. I know.
Hosted by the cybersecurity firm FireEye. I believe it's coming up in October. It might be November. Their keynote speaker is going to be Hillary. It's not even that funny, but I can't finish the sentence.
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton is going to be the keynote speaker at the FireEye Cybersecurity Symposium. What will her speech be like?
My first tip is don't use your personal email.
She'll be up there like, I always recommend wiping everything, like with a cloth.
Yes.
Bleach Bit is worth the money.
Wow.
Cybersecurity tips from Hillary Clinton. Don't store your unsecured server in the bathroom. That's a bad thing.
That's a bad
Like,
thing.
really? Like, make sure Anthony Weiner does not have your network password.
Wow. No.
It's like, hey, man, why are we getting emails from 15-year-olds in North Carolina? Anthony, you've been on the internet again, haven't you? I thought we talked about this.
No.
Just like looking at it going, the more I look at this story, I'm like, why don't you guys just say FireEye Cybersecurity? Their motto should be like, we strongly recommend you hire someone else.
We suck.
I'm not saying that they do, and
No.
I'm not trying to sway. We are not currently the hosts of advertising with any cybersecurity operation.
No, we are
Nobody
not.
have you, by the way. If you would like to advertise with the Last Pod on the Right, you're welcome to do that. The Last Pod on the Right is a great spot for your advertising dollars, and we recommend you contact us through the site laststopontheright.com. That having been said, if FireEye Security thinks Hillary Clinton is the...
It's
like at what?
It
how
is
many,
laughable.
I mean, this is not a small operation. I mean, these guys are a big concern.
if you're getting
How many
Hillary-
people in their office? And you know she don't come cheap.
No.
I'm wondering how many people signed off on that. Like how many people went, and somebody in marketing went, I'm with her, so I say Hillary Clinton should be our keynote speaker. And somebody else in the room didn't say at some point, maybe we should rethink this. It went all the way through, and I'm sure they've already cut the check.
Cut the check.
So-
The president sees it and it's like, who the hell did that?
Like Hillary's office, when checks come in for this stuff, they get cashed immediately.
Oh, yeah.
Ha blackjack, no takes backs.
Money's
mine now, fool.
Joker's in the bank.
I just like the only way that could be better would be like if you had Bill Clinton on a marital fidelity retreat. And it's like our keynote speaker tonight is Bill Clinton. Hi. Hey, y'all. Just, treat your wife like she's the queen of your world. And make sure the interns wear water repellent clothing. That's so right.
Always use good cigars. Sorry.
Hi. I'm for you. Might remember me as former President Bill Clinton. I've got some tips for you on marital fidelity. Really? Do you now?
Wow.
It doesn't matter what happens. Don't ever acknowledge Webb Hubble might be Chelsea's dad.
Wow.
Marital fidelity, huh? But Hillary Clinton as the speaker.
Yes.
All right, now back to Savannah, where it is, by the way, it's like 1,000 degrees.
Oh, God, it's been terrible.
We have 4 days straight of
Five
straight
100 degrees or better.
So global warming has arrived and will kill us all, obviously. It's got to be global warming. It can't be that it's summer in Savannah.
But my tan is looking good,
Yeah,
isn't
man,
it?
you got all the melanoma.
Sorry.
You are a walking melanoma at this point, is what you look like.
Man.
You are the color of melanoma.
Thanks.
Like if you look at, I'm just saying, talk about having a brown alert. But it has been very well. And then today it rained for 5 seconds. In a lot of places you think, oh man, the rain. So, that'll cool things off. And it does not.
It does not.
Now,
it
instead
cools
of,
it off for about 10 minutes.
It cools it off only while in Savannah, Georgia, where we're located. When it rains in the summertime, it only cools it off as long as it is actually raining.
Yep.
And then it is over, and then it goes from being oven hot, like convection oven hot, to like sauna hot.
Yep.
So now it's, instead of getting baked, you're getting steamed alive.
Yep.
But that's obviously global warming. It can't be that in summer, because I guess this was a record this week.
Yeah, the 5 days in a row was a record.
Of 100 temperatures.
Yeah, no, yep.
But that's only 140 years of records or something like that. So
like that.
Okay, fine. The Earth is 4.5 billion years old, but since it happened in the last 120 years, that should be the standard by which we judge.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, of course. It doesn't matter what happened before we started taking records. It's global warming or climate change or whatever. They had a bunch of tornadoes this week in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Which happens from time to time. They do call it Tornado Alley, and that is not a new nickname. They are used to it out there.
Yep.
It is not new. Okay, even before white people ruined everything in the Midwest, they had tornadoes there.
Right.
They do call them that. They had a bunch of tornadoes. The global warmists are out there. It's like proof. This is proof. Global warming is real. And you had, it was one of the big left-wing columnists, and I don't remember who it was, who noted that the 200 tornadoes that took place in the Midwest all happened in states that had voted climate deniers into office.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, yeah, is that what we're going to go with? So it's not just that it's global warming or whatever you're calling it this week that caused the weather disruptions. It was global warming, and it's global warming is a dude, and he did it on purpose. And we're the science deniers. Like if you don't believe in global warming or climate change or blah 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 blah, whatever you want to call it, then they don't even call you now they've changed the term again. Now you're a science denier. You deny science. I'm like, you believe that global warming came back from, I don't know, wherever it spends its winters. I would assume
Miami.
Down in Naples. It's on Marco Island, Florida, playing shuffleboard until March is what global warming does.
Sorry, guys. Got to go.
Got to go
make tornadoes.
Well, yeah, like it's a guy, and global warming shows. I mean, you get the implication is that global warming it's like a movie. Like this summer, he's back, and he's badder than ever. Global warming is coming to your town. Like global warming is like going and wreaking havoc in the Midwest out of a sense of vengeance. Because you voted for a climate denier.
That's so stupid.
In Iowa or whatever. Therefore, global warming shall visit you with tornadoes. Like it's not like it's. Don't deify it, for God's sake. That's creepy.
Yes.
That's basic. They're not the global warmists at this point by saying that the tornado outbreak in the place that they call Tornado Alley, because they have repeated tornado outbreaks, is actually a consequence of you voting for a global or a climate denier.
Right.
Like global warming is an actual person who is now wreaking revenge on you for voting the wrong way.
Right.
That is not far from saying. You watch the old Jack Frost and remember all the claymation Christmas things? Mm-hmm. Like, no, there's not an actual heat miser. Okay, that's not a thing. There's not really a guy. Okay. It's like Mr. 101 showing up in Kansas and whooping ass because they voted Republican.
Exactly.
Like that doesn't actually happen. It's that kind of crazy. You might as well believe in the Easter Bunny.
What?
Be like, sorry.
Wait.
Hey, this just in. But so it's been like 900 degrees in Savannah this week. And it's summertime in Savannah. Everyone's freaking out and saying, it must be global warming or whatever. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, maybe. But we have other stuff going on here. And we needed to get to this because we are now under the gun. There is a bullseye on us. There are crosshairs on our back, even as we speak. Hollywood has had it with us in Georgia. This is here. This is. I know you scoff while I take a drink of pod beer here. That was some excellent scoffing.
Thank you.
I thought you scoffed well to cover the sound of me drinking beer.
Hey, Opie.
Yeah, I guess Ron Howard says I'm not going to make movies there.
Okay.
Not like we give them enough in tax breaks. They're going to continue to come.
Because
Georgia is a very attractive place to
Disney.
Well, Georgia is a very attractive place to make movies and TV shows because Georgia will give you enormous number of tax rebates to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Louisiana is another place.
Yep.
They film a lot of. You'd be surprised the number of movies they actually film in Louisiana. Because they throw out the Pitch Perfect movies, which are about girls going to a college in, I guess, California and singing a cappella or whatever. And they filmed them in Louisiana. Why do you film a Glee Club movie in Louisiana? Because Louisiana was like, here, a bunch of money. Why do they film The Walking Dead in North Georgia or Central Georgia? Because it is inexpensive to do so. Why did they film these Avengers movies were filmed up in Atlanta? I mean, Atlanta there's a Pinewood Studios division there now.
Yep.
And Savannah, where we live, has become a scene of freak. And this happened about 20 years ago, right after like Forrest Gump and Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil came out. And all of a sudden, for not that brief a period, for a period of time, Savannah, there were a lot of movie productions here.
Dude, there still are.
And now there's a big spike again. Mm-hmm. I live down in the historic district of Savannah. It has bordered on inconvenience at times.
Yes.
I'm not complaining.
No.
But now Hollywood is saying because Georgia passed the heartbeat bill. along with a number of other states, because they have passed the heartbeat bill. You've got actresses saying, I will not work in Georgia. An actor saying, I will not work in Georgia. Production companies saying, we're not sure we're going to continue to produce in Georgia. It's like, fine. And people are losing this has become a local topic of some note. Because you got all the hip wannabe Hollywood types. And because they share that political affinity with the left-wing people from Hollywood, of course, they are going to take the side of Hollywood against the side of their own state, their own city.
Right.
Bad enough we had to listen to these people pretend that Stacey Abrams was not only had won, but was still relevant.
I won.
I mean, and she's fading out now. She's still out there doing it, but nobody really. It's sort of like, okay, really,
it's old now.
It's kind of okay. You go sit in a corner and you pretend you're governor. That's fine.
Right.
Go play governor, Stacey. We're going to do actual stuff here. But now they passed this heartbeat bill that you cannot perform an abortion once the baby has a heartbeat.
Right.
You get 2 heartbeats, 2 people. That doesn't seem that complicated to me.
Nope.
They are fighting so hard, and they're fighting for abortion. Of all the things that you considered literally making a principled, pitched, do-or-die stance on, vacuuming babies out of people's uteruses seems like an odd choice to me. But fine. That's their thing. They are anti-life all the way. Now you got local people saying we are with Hollywood against our own city, against our own state, to the point that they are supporting these boycotts that are being called for in various places. I mean, Alabama and Mississippi, they have bills, but they're like, fine. Okay, so you're not going to come here once every decade and shoot a movie in which everyone from Alabama is portrayed as a total moron. Well, I mean, that's what Hollywood does. And I'm sitting there as a Georgian saying, well, I guess that would be sad, but if you guys want to put your friends in the local movie industry out of work, then you're welcome to it. Go ahead. I would prefer not to punish Georgians. Because a movie comes to your town, kids, and have you ever seen any of these productions? I was actually in a movie once for like a tenth of a second. It was a major Hollywood production. I was an extra, but but I was there when the whole thing was being filmed. So I saw. It's not just the star doesn't show up. And it's like a couple of stars show up, and the director shows up, and a few other people, and then whatever. There's an enormous no. Any major Hollywood production, there's a huge number of people that are on the set at any given time, and a number of them, a sizable number of them, are locals who have been hired as contract, to labor or whatever, or you got all the extras, and I have a number of friends who they do that. That's a fun thing for them. They don't it's not a living, but like if there's a production in town and they need an extra and they fit the bill, they'll go do it.
Right.
Because they enjoy it. They're not going to get to do that anymore if this boycott becomes a thing.
Right.
And I'm like, putting aside the fact that that's incredibly stupid, because like, I am going to be poorer if you don't stop saving babies. I mean, that's, I am going to support Hollywood taking money away from our state, and in some cases money away from my friends, in order to upend this, to make abortion more common. That's the heart of the argument. I don't understand that. No. And that, and I understand that we're never going to understand that. I'm not an anti-life person. I don't get it. We've talked about it on the show before that to me, I just, and I'm pro-life all the way. I also oppose capital punishment, which gets me yelled at from the right from time to time. But I'm saying, man, you're willing to take food off not just people that live in your state or your town.
Right.
You're talking about taking food off your friends' tables to protect abortion. That's pretty messed up.
That is kind of
and
messed
you
up.
Boil it down, that's what they're talking about doing. And Ron Howard can say, I'm not coming to Georgia, and be like, well, okay, sorry, see ya. My life will not be negatively impacted by a lack of Ron Howard sightings.
Right.
It doesn't mean that much to me. I know people out, and the boycotters would say, well, that's the point, though. We want you to be mad and support us, and so you put that food back on your friends' tables.
Right.
Like, well, I'm not mad at the state of Georgia for electing a majority of I mean, look, this bill represents the will of the people of Georgia. It didn't just come out of thin air.
Right.
You went through the state house, went through all, the state legislature got to look at it. Everybody got to look at it. The governor signed it. If you'd won a damn election, you wouldn't have this problem.
Right.
If you'd come up with someone who isn't just a wingnut like Stacey Abrams, she would have been governor. Sorry, guys. You lost.
Right.
I'll quote Barack Obama, elections have consequences.
Right.
The way sorry, guys. But you can sit here, you can say, no, you should support us because otherwise you're taking money away from your fellow Georgians. I'm like, no, I'm not. You are.
Yep.
I don't see any reason why Hollywood's attitude about laws we pass in Georgia should matter as much as it does to you people. But I'm not the one that's threatening to take anybody's money away.
No.
I'm not saying I'm not. There's no extras or grips or gaffers who are losing out on jobs because of my attitude. Hollywood is welcome to come here and film whenever they wish.
Right.
These guys keep coming up with these ideas. Well, no. Because it's a bad bill. Because it's anti-choice. It's pro-life. If you don't like it, then you probably should have scouted elsewhere anyway.
Right.
You come threaten Georgians' livelihoods. If we don't change our laws to more accurately reflect the sentiments of people that don't live here.
Mm-hmm.
That's garbage. You're going to boycott it? Fine. Boycott it. People boycott stuff all the time. Boycotts are not new. Fine. Go have your boycott. Okay, do that. Go have your boycott, and then don't be mad if it works. Okay, and you run off Hollywood money, and you're not going to change that law. You may change it in the courts or whatever, but a boycott by Hollywood is not going to change Georgia law. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
But you are going to be remembered because I will be one of the people who reminds our friends and neighbors in Savannah, where the movie industry is for real, in the state of Georgia, where the movie and television industries are for real. This is big money. And say to all of the people that lost out because Hollywood left over this bill, I'm going to say you lost out because your neighbors, your Democrat, anti-life, liberal neighbors, sided with Hollywood and said, we are supporting them taking your money away because the laws of the state of Georgia don't more accurately reflect what Hollywood people think they should be.
Right.
You're going to do that, do it. Fine. But don't tell me I'm the bad guy.
Right. Nope.
And I do not understand why some of these companies, I get why they do it, because they're going to virtue signal. They're hoping it'll be enough. And you get some of these production houses say, well, we're going to, I guess Disney's one of them, NBC Universal is another. And so we're going to look at this, see, but we're not sure if we're comfortable continuing to produce stuff in Georgia with this law. I'm like, Disney has a theme park in like Beijing.
That's very true.
They shoot people there for being Christian.
Right.
So don't. NBC is currently, or not NBC, Netflix. Netflix is currently filming a series in Egypt. You're not going to come to Georgia because we object to people killing babies. You're going to film in Egypt where, imagine being a woman in Egypt. You wouldn't even be able to have a voice about this conversation. If this was happening in Egypt, this whole conversation would only be happening between men.
Right.
Netflix is okay with filming series there.
Yep.
Disney is okay with having a theme park where political prisoners are a sizable portion of the population in China.
Right.
But we're not going to film in Georgia because they're not anti-life enough. And I really don't get the Disney part of it. You would think Disney would want more kids. I just say it. I know it's goofy, but you would think that Disney would want there to be more kids, not fewer. Right. But that's why I think they're not really. It's virtue signaling. It's corporate virtue signaling. They go out there, they do that, and they say, well, we're going to look at it. We're not super comfortable with it, and we're not sure, et cetera, so on and so forth. But, they're not going to make a definitive statement about pulling production out. But if they do, then you get to say to the people that encourage them, go, well, all of those jobs and money that left, you helped Hollywood do that.
Yep.
Because you didn't like the fact that your neighbors voted for laws that weren't what Hollywood said they should be.
Right.
And then the Hollywood studios come in here and say, well, we're not going to film there because that law is restrictive, but you're going to have a theme park, probably staffed by slave workers from Falun Gong or something. Be like, really?
Right.
Political prisoners are brought in here, and when stuff breaks, I could promise you a lot of the stuff that ends up involved in making a theme park in China involves slave labor.
Right. Well, Yeah.
But you're okay with your theme park there, Disney. You don't want to come to Georgia, but you go to Beijing. So, that's a Savannah thing now because
it's local.
Well, it's become a local issue in kind of a weird way because you're starting to see. I've noticed that there's some buzz about you got there's one very prominent local merchant. I'm not going to name him on the show because he doesn't deserve that. Dude does not deserve to be associated with the last pot on the right, but his store is now being discussed as a target for boycottery because he supported Governor Kemp and Governor Kemp. I mean, think how convoluted that is.
That's so stupid.
We're going to go after one of our neighbors he's a good guy and he does an enormous amount of local work. I mean, he supported Kemp. We're going to go after, there has been discussions. We're going to go after him and the people that attended fundraisers at his store for Brian Kemp because Brian Kemp signed a bill passed by the legislature, written by a woman, by the way, which says fewer abortions are what we're shooting for.
Right.
Baby's heart is beating. You can no longer kill the baby. And they're so mad about that, they're going to go after their neighbors. Not just the acting and movie production people, but like a dude who sells things to people or a restaurant owner or a store owner or whatever. We're gonna go after their bottom line because they supported a guy who signed a bill that was written by a woman that doesn't live here that is pissing off people in Hollywood.
Right.
That's how stupid the left is, right? We're the dummies. We're the science deniers. We're the morons. We're the rednecks and the hillbillies. We don't know what the hell we're doing. But that's the basis of pretty much everything they do. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, fine, guys. Good luck with that. I know we've had them around for a while. We got to get going here, dude. I'm going to finish my pot here. Talk to the kids for a second while I drink some pot beer.
Okay. What is it? What are we talking about?
Yeah, you're a freaking...
Well, you threw me off guard, man.
Radio professional right there. That was podcastery in a nutshell right there. We have no idea what we're doing most of the time.
Nope.
We have had a great fun time with you all, though, however. And this was good. This was a good one. I enjoyed it. We got into some stuff here today at the last pod on the right. I'm glad we had a chance to do that. Well, it can't always. I mean, you don't want to have fun. You don't want it to be morose. You're like, oh, man, those guys at the last pod on the right. It's really informative, but...
Hey, we even talked about poo.
We did talk about poo. So if you think, when you leave the pod today, you think, man, I don't know, they were really serious today. Remember, we openly discussed a brown alert.
Yes.
In reference to poop. Is not that good a podcast, kids. We recommend, for those of you who joined us from the KLRN Radio Podcast Network or didn't, we recommend that you check out so many of the talented people they have on that network throughout the day. And you can go to their Spreaker channel, Spreaker.com, Spreaker.com, KLRN. And all of their guys are up there. And they have some very good people.
They're probably not talking about poo.
No, they're probably... I could pretty much guarantee you that poo we might sneak one in now because they're going to be like, did you hear what those retards at the last pod did?
Yeah, that's true.
You may get a statement from somebody else at KLR and saying, we disavow any knowledge of these guys and their poo talk. But check them out because they've got some good people. Also, and see, Spreaker has there's a lot of good stuff on Spreaker.
Yep.
And then there's also us. We are also available through iTunes and Spotify. You can always check us out at thelaststopontheright.com. This has been The Last Pod on the Right. I am Ben Crystal.
I'm Turd Ferguson.
I knew you were going to do it.
I couldn't help it, man.
Now it's a thing that every time we're getting ready to do the outro, you're going to step on it. And I knew it was coming, and I wasn't sure what it was going to be. And I hate you so much right now.
I'm Turd Ferguson.
This has been The Last Pod on the Right. We look forward to talking to you next week. Until then, y'all keep it straight and narrow. I'm Ben Crystal.
I'm Mike.
Thank you. We will talk to you next time. The Last Pod on the Right. We out.